The Krevthor Council had been explicit in their warnings. Their transmissions crackled through every human vessel within the outer rim. Do not approach the cubs. Do not touch them. Do not even look at them for too long. The Krevthor were an ancient species, their civilization spanning 12 star systems, their warriors legendary across the galaxy. But it was their young, their cubs, that made even the most battle-hardened species nervous. Krevthor cubs were born with instincts sharper than plasma blades, reflexes faster than thought, and an aggression that could turn fatal in seconds. They were not pets. They were not children to be coddled. They were weapons waiting to be forged. Lieutenant Mara Solon had heard the warnings. She'd read the reports, watched the footage of a Zentari diplomat losing 3 fingers to a curious cub. She knew the rules. But rules had a way of shattering when survival was on the line. The distress beacon had led her strike team to the abandoned research station on Kalos 9, a frozen moon where the Krevthor had been conducting genetic studies. The station was dark, its corridors silent except for the hum of failing life support. Bodies lay scattered. Krevthor scientists, their throats torn, their blood frozen in crimson pools. Whatever did this is still here, muttered Corporal Hayes, his rifle raised. Mara nodded, her breath misting in the frigid air. They moved deeper into the station, following the trail of destruction. That's when they heard it. A low, guttural growl echoing from the nursery wing. The door hissed open and Mara's team froze. 7 Krevthor cubs huddled in the corner, their fur matted with ice and blood. They were small, no larger than earth wolves, but their eyes glowed with a feral intelligence. Their claws gleamed in the dim light, each one capable of shredding Kevlar like paper. At the front of the group stood the largest cub, his silver-streaked fur marking him as the oldest. His amber eyes locked onto Mara, unblinking. "Lieutenant, we should go," Hayes whispered. "Protocol says—" "I know what protocol says," Mara interrupted, lowering her weapon slowly. The cubs were starving. They were terrified, and they were seconds away from attacking. She took a step forward. The largest cub, Threx, according to the nameplate on the wall, bared his fangs, a warning rumble building in his chest. The others tensed, ready to pounce. Mara knelt, making herself smaller, less threatening. She pulled a ration bar from her belt and broke it in half, holding it out. "Easy," she murmured. "I'm not here to hurt you." Threx's ears flicked. His growl faded, replaced by a cautious sniff. Slowly, he crept forward, his claws clicking against the metal floor. He stopped inches from Mara's hand, his hot breath washing over her fingers. Then he snatched the ration bar and retreated, tearing into it with savage hunger. The other cubs surged forward, desperate, and Mara distributed the rest of her rations. They ate like they hadn't seen food in days, because they hadn't. "Lieutenant, the Krevthor fleet is inbound," Hayes said, his voice tight. "We need to leave. Now." Mara stood, but as she turned toward the door, something grabbed her leg. She looked down. Threx had clamped his jaws around her boot, not biting, but holding. His eyes met hers, and in them she saw something that made her chest tighten. Fear. "They're coming with us," she said. "Are you insane? The Krevthor will declare war if we—" "They're cubs, Hayes, and we're not leaving them to die." The evacuation was chaos. The cubs clung to Mara's team as they sprinted through the collapsing station, their small bodies pressed against human legs, their claws digging into armor for purchase. Threx stayed at Mara's side, his gaze never leaving her face. When they reached the shuttle, the Krevthor fleet was already entering orbit, their warships bristling with enough firepower to glass a planet. The comms exploded with threats, demands, promises of retribution. Mara ignored them all. She sealed the shuttle and launched, the cubs huddled in the cargo bay, whimpering softly. "This is Warlord Krevnath of the Krevthor Armada," a voice boomed over the comms. "You have violated our sovereign territory and stolen our young. Return them immediately, or we will reduce your vessel to atoms." Mara switched to open broadcast. "Warlord, your cubs were dying. Your station was overrun. We saved them. You were warned not to approach them. Humans do not understand our ways. They will bond with you now, and that bond will make them weak. You have doomed them." Mara glanced back at the cargo bay. Threx was watching her through the doorway, his tail twitching. The other cubs had curled around him, their breathing steady for the first time since the rescue. "With respect, Warlord," Mara said slowly, "maybe your cubs don't think we're the threat. Silence. Then, what do you mean? They refused to leave us. They've been following Lieutenant Solon since we found them, Hayes added, his voice reluctant but honest. They won't let her out of their sight. Another pause. This is unprecedented. Your species values strength, right? Mara said. Your cubs chose us. They chose to trust us. Maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's the strongest thing they've ever done. The Krevthor fleet held position. Mara could almost hear the debate raging aboard the flagship. Finally, Warlord Krevenath spoke again, his voice heavy with something that might have been respect. Bring them to the rendezvous coordinates we are transmitting. But Lieutenant Mara Solon, you will accompany them. If the cubs have bonded with you, then you are responsible for their training. It is our way, Mara blinked. You want me to raise them? The bond cannot be broken. You saved them. Now you must teach them. It is the highest honor among our people. Do you accept? Mara looked at Threx. He tilted his head, his tail wagging slowly. The other cubs watched her with wide, trusting eyes. She smiled. Yeah, I accept. As the shuttle changed course, Threx padded forward and pressed his head against Mara's hand. She scratched behind his ears and his purr rumbled through the cabin like distant thunder. The Krevthor had warned the humans not to near the cubs. But the cubs had other plans.